Okay, hi everybody. So we'll just wait a second here. See a couple of people continuing to join. Okay, well, it's time. It's kind of a depressingly small number of people up there. If anybody has any good suggestions about how we get more people on here, I see we have Brian, Darby, and Phil on. Thank you for joining, guys. And Kimberly, who's our new lady working with Dana here. Right? And then in the room here, we have Don and we have Gary Willis, who's playing down here.
So you be careful when you wish for big attendance, it's usually because there's trouble. So numbers is good news.
Yeah, good. I get your point. Okay, so I'll call the meeting to order here. Kevin fight his way in here. And move on to the regular business. So the board's had a chance to look at last month's minutes. Can I ask somebody to propose a motion to approve last month's?
So moved.
Thank you. Second, all in favour?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much. Okay, so let's move on quickly on to the President's update. So as you all know, there's been email communication. Andrew's leaving. What day?
May 27th, next Friday.
May 27th, next Friday. Wow, that's quick. So the point of this slide is we're in the process of recruiting a new general manager. I've had a couple of people ask me, does PPC really need a GM? So, for example, before Andrew got appointed, there was a period of probably 4 or 5 years where we didn't have a GM. So we looked at it very carefully at the time in appointing Andrew, and the opinion of this board is very much yes, we need a general manager. We have great staff, we have a really good management team, and we have a lot of confidence in them, but even they say, yes, we need a general manager. And part of the reason is coordination between those different departments, make sure everybody's on the same page. That's the primary thing. Make sure they're communicating. Actually, for the management team, probably the primary thing of a general manager is to keep the board out of their hair. So Keith says no, but I know he's lying. So that's really the general manager. The bottom line is we looked at this really carefully and we figured out that the value that the general manager adds exceeds the cost. So we're going ahead and recruiting replacement. Well, what's very important, we've had some good candidates. We have a couple of really strong candidates, and probably the primary thing that we're looking for is a cultural fit. By cultural fit, we mean somebody who's prepared to put Wellington boots on and be out in the lake with a fishing net, pulling balls out, right? You've all seen Andrew washing carts and helping Keith out with those things. We think that's, for our relatively small staff, that's an exceedingly important characteristic of the general manager. They need to be a good communicator as well. There's a lot of communication goes on, and that's very important in the coordination between the management. So we're looking for some. We have 2 strong candidates. We continue to look, and we'll hire when we find the right candidate. We're in no desperate hurry to do that. We'd like to do it quickly because this does put additional work over our management team. But we will get the right person in preference to do it. Anyway. So does clarify the general manager? Absolutely yes. Okay. All right, next slide, please. Couple of key decisions, votes. So the board has already approved a couple of things. this month to inform the members of here. One is for new stairs to down to the driving range, so we're going to replace the uneven stairs with some proper concrete one, and I think a handrail as well, Jason. Is that right? Yeah, and a handrail. Cost of that was $10,500. And we also approved earlier today. We talked about the HVAC system a lot, and we're still working on that proper HVAC for the kitchen to alleviate the excess temperatures in the summer. We can't get that done until January for equipment and availability, things like that. So we're going to have to get a temporary solution in. So we're going to get two industrial coolers. They're similar to the ones that you can buy to sit in your home, but they're much more substantial. So the cost of those two is $8,000, right? So that's an thing that's also approved. Okay, that was key decisions votes. So actually, Dan, do you want to introduce? We have Sean Temple, one of our members, who's going to talk about.
He had to punt, I assume. Is he on? She is here. Oh, okay, great.
Sure.
So actually, I'll take a minute. So so I played golf off with Sean Temple, who joined a couple of years ago, and he had mentioned to me that he supports the Evans Scholar program, which is run by the Western Golf Association. And actually, I'll let him talk a little bit more about it, but I believe his son was actually an Evans Scholar at KU, as a matter of fact. So Sean had a great idea as far as not only introduce the option to see if some of the members at Perry Park would like to contribute in some form or fashion to the Evans Scholar program. And so we sort of talked about this the last couple of months, and Sean's just going to take a few slides to sort of introduce it to the members and tell you how we're going to work it up in case that people would like to contribute to this terrific program. Sean, take it away.
Great. Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Super. Thank you. Dan, thank you so much for listening and presenting and facilitating, and Lori too. As Dan mentioned, my wife and I, Cheryl and I, have 6 sons. Our number 3 son was a caddy at LaGrange Country Club in Chicago, western suburbs. And after 4 years of caddying, we were fortunate that he became an Evans Scholar and started the new Evans Scholar House at Kansas University 5 years ago. Since then, he graduated KU, got his master's of taxation, and passed his CPA this year and works for Plant Moran in the Tech Center. And I grew up caddying in Chicago at Beverly Country Club, Ridge Country Club. And I just think caddying for young people is a great job, a great way for folks to get interactive with adults, learn the game of golf, enjoy the game of golf, and look at how other people in the world are making their way in the world and be successful. So when I was talking to Dan about this program, we reached out to the WGA. They sent us some slides. We'd like to go through that, and I can answer any questions. But the next slide, please, Lori. Originally the Western Open was the tournament that and then the caddies from Chicago would go and caddy for all the pros. They used to do that years ago, and so we were fortunate if you were caddy, to caddy for one of the pros at Butler National or Midlothian Country Club or Beverly, where they used to have the circuit change around yearly. So as Dan put helped with these slides, you could see the history there, and we just got this exciting announcement. It's coming back to Castle Pines, the BMW Championship. And so Dan and I talked about, if we're, get involved with WGA, see what kind of volunteer opportunities could be for the club, and when they come out for trips, inviting them to come and see Perry Park and play also. It's it's really about the whole person. The Evans Scholar thing, and then it's really creating, good young people that are working hard, that have great work ethics, that can learn how to communicate with, with members and be a strong advocate for the club and for the program. And they've got a long history and track record of doing that successfully. You can see all the bullet points there. Next slide, please. Where are the dollars going and how's it benefiting, the program and the kids, and to make sure that, a lot of this is, really, going right to support the kids that are in the need, that are successful with academics and want to get, so you can see a 95% graduation rate. We've got the house up at Colorado University. I know it's not in here. A couple of years ago, they just redid the house and updated the house there too. So we've got a local chapter here. The numbers are very excellent. Plus the networking that comes out of folks from the WGA and from the Evans Scholars Program is really beneficial for these folks, these young people. And the next slide, please. It's a big cost. They work with the universities, they get some, discounted tuitions and other benefits, food programs and books and stuff. So it's really a combination between the schools and the Evans Scholars Foundation to help, create a pathway that the big thing is the kids earned it. They earned it in a lot of different ways. So that kind of shows the growth of the program and on the rise and how well it's been doing. Next slide, please. So when I was a member in Chicago at Beverly Country Club or Ridge or Olympia, we always joined just the baseline par club. You have the ability. You were asked on your statement if you wanted to opt in or opt out of it, and then there was a bag tag that was provided on that. So there was guys at these clubs that had been, members supporting the par club for 20, 30, 40 years, and they proudly carried that on their bag and helped. And, though we don't have a caddy program, understanding and meeting these kids is pretty exciting, and knowing how well they're doing out in the real world. So, we're asking, just to have the board approve the ability for us to have our members make a choice if they want to opt in or opt out. So, how does it work is pretty straightforward there. We're creating more work for our staff, but, there's a positive benefit to it. Any questions?
So Sean, I heard Dan talk about this, but I think the board has to do something. We have to set something up here. Maybe you know that.
Actually, how it'll work is as far as the board would just decide as far as that. Obviously, we do want to make it administratively as easy as possible for Lori and her team. And so we would probably elect to choose a month of the year for the members that wanted to do it. As far as is that, and then they would be charged, on their regular club bill, as far as what that amount is. And I think there's a bullet point on here. They'll also get a receipt from the Evans Scholar Program as well. So for tax deduction purposes and so on. So it actually, because we would elect to do for any members wanting to participate in donating once a year, we would choose a month to do it, and we'll do that in the next month or so, so that members will know what month it'll be, and then they even get a notice like a month before as far as saying, hey, you're scheduled, this is scheduled to appear on your bill if for some reason you wanted to opt out. So in other words, it's not like a gotcha type thing where members it's going to be on their bill. They're like, oh, I don't remember signing up or anything like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So members should expect a communication
Yes.
from us once we've figured out.
You'll see two things in the next couple of weeks. Number one is you'll see in an article in Fairway Views this month that'll provide some information. We'll also be sending an email to all members with a little bit more specific information, including how to sign up with the business office.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Great. All right. Hey, thank you very much, Sean.
So one
Thanks.
question.
Oh, no.
One question, this is an opt-in program.
Yes,
Not enough output.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
But it's a special thing for members who leave and go elsewhere, so that we can keep it. Hey, thank you very much, Sean. More to come on that.
Thank you very much for your time.
All right, it's a pleasure. All right, finance. I think Laurie does the first
Okay.
one, right?
Yep. Come over here, so. Everything's good. All right, good evening, everyone. I'm gonna talk a little bit about the April financials month end. We are at 80,000 for our year-to-date net operating income. That's our budget was 25,000. So we're seeing increases over budget. You can see on the right there with membership, pro shop, food and beverage is trending more than their budget for a loss this year, but their sales are higher. So we're managing cost of goods changes and such in this first quarter of the year, but so far they've had a solid April month. So we're seeing those sales increase as the time comes in more into active season. And then we have some savings in our administrative expenses. We have a operating cash amount of 285,000, capital cash fund of 278. We received this month in April 52,000 in initiation fees. Our budget was 25. We send 2/3 over to capital, so that was 30,000 that went in addition to capital dues into the capital fund this year. So 278,000. I expect in June we will make a payment for whole 18 work. So we'll be able to fund that from those dollars. And then we have our note payable that's being paid down, $535,000 balance now. As far as our operating income or actuals to budget, we're trending ahead in revenue. We're a little ahead in expenses, and then our operating revenue is much ahead of our budget for what we thought was going to come in for the year, driven by initiation fees for those membership sales that Atlanta has made for the year.
Cool.
That is April.
All right, so the board has had a chance to review the April financials, so then I need a motion to approve.
Motion to approve April financials.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Right, the financials are passed, so I think Dan, you're going to talk some detail.
Yeah, I'm gonna move over here so I'm closer to the gizmo things, and so people hopefully can hear me better. So I've talked the last few months as far as choosing a couple simple topics as far as sort of beyond kind of like the routine, well, what is going on year to date with our financials, but also to say like, what does the board spend its time on from a financial perspective? In this slide depicts kind of one of the most important things we look at. Like a lot of businesses, the total cost of our labor, which by the way is not only includes payroll, it includes payroll taxes, it includes benefits, it includes contract labor, is our largest cost. So like managing that number is critical for the club. So it's something that we look at each and every month, and you'll see from the slide up here how you perform in this area might be the largest factor as to whether or not you're going to have an operating gain or profit or an operating loss. Okay. So so you can see as far as, so by the way, that 50, you see where the median is, okay, as far as, so on average, the clubs that look like us, so basically that takes a look at clubs in our revenue band that just have gone, okay? So the average for those clubs, as you can see it there, or that I should say the median, in other words, half of the clubs pay more, half of them pay less, is 55%, okay? So in 2019, you can see that percentage was 61%. It's probably no accident as far as that we also had an operating deficit that the members had to fund, right? So that number, we're certainly focused on it. And in particular, the answer, by the way, just so that everyone knows this, is honestly, it's not as far as to think, well, we're gonna find a way to cut our payroll expense. The answer is to grow your revenue, okay? So as far as, because then as you can see there, when your revenue grows faster than expenses, you have operating leverage, right? And then you can make money, okay? So as you can see, we made improvements in 2021. However, we were still above the median, okay? So what I did was I took, so year to date, as far as, so we're tracking at 53%, okay? So I actually think it's probably a good omen that we'll meet or beat our budget this year, okay? Now, I have to say, as far as that, you know, just so you know, as far as that, we baked in this year, honestly, what a higher number than I wanted in terms of the increase in our overall payroll budget, okay? So we did that knowingly, and then the other thing is that, you know, we learned a couple months ago, as far as like, hey, we're paying our cooks, some of whom have been here 2 or 3 years, less than they could make starting at some of the other places in town. So like, we're at risk as we enter the high season. I give a lot of credit to the management team to coming to us and say, hey, consider doing this, right? So we absolutely did. So we raised the pay of all the cooks. Honestly, we're running a little bit hot on our budget for F&B expense, and it's worth it. Okay, so because we obviously we consider each department on its own, and we look at each one, but at the end of the day, we really consider what's the club's overall labor expense. Okay, so that's the first slide. So any questions on that one before I move to the next slide? Anything online?
If you're using year-to-date numbers, you really haven't hit high season. So, you know, with other staff coming in, you know, as kind of activity ramps up, so you feel comfortable with the year-to-date as being some kind of proxy for what you might see through the rest of the season, or
revenue goes up, expense goes up during high season, right?
Right.
It's a good question, Don. To be honest, as far as that, because I can't say like at this point, only after April, if it's a good proxy for the end of the year, but I can tell you, as far as we'll be marching to stay at or below 55, right? To be at that median. Any questions online? Okay.
No.
If you'll go to the next slide. So another question that I get asked from by several members is, hey, the club's been really successful as far as, should we consider paying down some of our debt instead of spending money on projects, right? Well, the first thing I would say is that the members voted strongly in favor in 2021 to increase the capital dues. The reason was because we have 10 years of pent up projects that we need to do. So we try to make it a decision as far with regards to that as far as that. Honestly, given what you see, what our debt level is relative to the unrestricted assets of the club, as I put it there, lower is better, keep in mind, as far as that, we're only at 20%. You saw it in the previous slide. We owe 535 on our long-term loan. We have absolutely zero trouble with that debt service on that. We take in each month more than 5 times that amount in capital dues. So it's not like we're at any risk of that. And we're at a point in our loan where we also we reduce that balance by $6K or $6,500 a month. So really here we're doing it, and as I talked about in previous months, our net worth is going up is because the investments we're making in cash, right? So it's increasing our asset base while at the same time the amount of our debt that we owe. So this should actually continue in the right direction. Okay. Any questions on that one?
How amazing is that?
It's amazing. Wonderful.
Yeah.
This is just two really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
data points.
Good. Great. Thank you.
And made very simple to understand. Thank you.
Yeah, that was really, yeah. All right, next slide, please. So featured employee of the month, I think Kevin, you're going.
So we're celebrating Shelley Durazno. She's been with the company 4 years, excuse me. She's originally from Ipomo, California. She's 35 years old and she has 3 kids. Favorite aspect of Perry Park is the conversation with members. Hobbies are off-roading and going to wineries and doing some wine tasting. Next slide, please. Interesting places she has traveled, Spain, Germany, India. Her funniest story about Perry Park is during the men's invitational, members handing out 20s like it's a good thing, which is awesome. And even the dishwashing team where she was working. So she was really pleasantly surprised with that. So good job to the members. Shelley is an outstanding employee. She is a really good patron to the club. She's a member. She's also, fills in any gap that's necessary at the club. She'll be behind the line in the kitchen, washing dishes or bartending, and she definitely deserves some recognition for that. So just a little shout out to Shelley for doing such a great job.
Great. Thank you very much. Kevin. All right, committee reports. Keith.
All right, good evening, everyone. Well, financials get a lot of content there. So April was a good month, and as many of you experienced, while it was a dry month and very windy, we were still able to play a lot of golf, and that certainly helps the golf side of the house there. Between guest fees being up, merchandise sales were up pretty nicely, and we're seeing some pretty good energy in our new golf shop. So a little bit more time in the shop, time spent shopping. Certainly guests are looking around a little bit more than they did in our old golf shop. So already seeing some net positives from that effort, which is fantastic. And then a couple fitting events that have gone really well. So appreciate the member support on those days. Our vendor partners really are partners. And the more we support them, the more they support us. And that's just good for everybody involved. Couple updates. So many of you have been issued a Big Brother Tag Marshal tracking tag at this point. We are calibrated. We're having a little bit of data discrepancy between their system and what they're sending us. So at this point right now, when the tag is with you, I can see you on the golf course. I'm not getting the back-end data that we're ultimately looking for. So they are working with us to fix that issue and expect that to continue to be a process there. A couple new team members coming on board this week. So, and the big take there is new faces, and they're going to be a whole lot better at what they do when they know you. And so if they don't go out of their way, and they should introduce themselves to you when they see you, if you don't mind taking a little time, especially those in the room, prominent members, to introduce yourself, the more they feel like they're a part of the family of Perry Park, the better they're going to be as an asset to the club and get integrated.
Outside services or what?
Primarily outside at this point. We will have one new golf shop team member coming on board. I don't know that you'll see her this week, possibly next week, but most of what we're staffing up for right now is outside. Monday events and a little update there. So our Monday event schedule is really busy this year. This past Monday was our first one. And a reminder, when clubs close to the members, you're able to get out there afternoon and low impact to maintenance and go enjoy the course. Keep a close eye on the event schedule. There's very few of those for the rest of the year. So really through September, we're sold out, which is great. And even into early October, right where we want to be. But with that, Memorial Day is open to you all as members. That's a member appreciation day. You'll be able to book those tee times through 4 tees as you always will. 7 days in advance. It's not treated like a weekend. You can book those the Monday ahead of time, and no guest restrictions on that day. So that guests will pay the family guest rate all day long. So for any of your guests. Upcoming events, we have our league event potentially this weekend. Probably a decent time to note that you will be getting communication from us. Right now, we're just being cautiously, sounds like a realtor. So cautiously optimistic. We know how Colorado weather changes. But with that, it doesn't look very good. So if we get snow Friday night, we're not gonna have a playable golf course Saturday morning. So Jason and I are talking about that as well as the committees. Yeah, so not looking good, but Colorado changes quick. So we'll make a call likely on Thursday, what we're gonna do as a result of that. Callaway fitting event, June 2nd. Registration will be sent out to you all very soon. If you're interested, please support that. That's 10 to 2 on June 2nd. And then a reminder that the Women's Invitational registration is now live. That window's open May 15th to June 15th. Don't feel like you have to wait to June 15th, though, if you're going to jump in. The sooner you do, the better it is for all of us to know what to expect. And a quick note on the Evans Scholarship Foundation. I've known a lot of Evans scholars for somehow throughout my time. And what I'll tell you is they're all really, the students that get that scholarship, that's a squared away group of kids. And a lot of that is because of their time as a caddy. I think there's a lot of value for a young male or female growing up to be a caddy, interact with adults, learn how to engage. There's a lot of sense of responsibility that you learn out there on the golf course. And everyone I've known that's gone through that program is just rock star people, and certainly a good thing to support, especially here in Colorado with the Scholar House and Steve Boulder. Just a good local presence, and something exciting to see that on the radar. Thank you all. That's it for me. Any questions?
No, nothing online.
Perfect.
All right, browns and greens, Jason.
Good evening, everyone. Jason Cook here. Had a very, very windy last 30 days, but the golf course is coming around and greening up very well. A lot of positive compliments, feedback coming from the members on the greens and really the condition of the golf course. So Mother Nature was kind to us again, as I mentioned last month. So we've really done well coming into May. Turf is now starting to grow, which is positive. Seeds starting to germinate. So we're going to stay on top of T-divots. The seeded areas that we lost in the wintertime and some of the desiccated areas are starting to germinate a touch. A little difficult to get the accurate amount of water down on them with the volume of wind that we've had. But for the most part, I'd say we're being pretty successful. A few projects that we have going on that'll be buttoned up hopefully the end of next week at the latest. The tie-in and the sod work along the cart paths on 11 and 12. I mentioned that the last couple of months we've successfully moved our irrigation, and we're at the point now where we're adding soil into those edges that we can then sod and have ready for the summer season. Staffing wise, pretty excited. We have 2 new TN VSIC staff members. Carlos joined us last week, the week prior, I should say, and Yvonne will be joining us this Friday. So hopefully a warm welcome for them. Outside of that, we are spending a lot of time trying to train staff in terms of a diversity of duties, which I guess can be a bit of a challenge sometimes when you've got a rough gentleman on a rough mower that's mowing a little too close to you. Either that or he's sitting 40 yards away with the machine in idle. So we'll continue to work on that.
Hey, Jason.
Yes.
You've done a terrific job sort of getting this TN visa program kicked off for us here at Prairie Park. Can you just take a second to describe the differences between the TN program and the H1b program?
Yeah, sure. So the TN visa program is a program set up, and it's for basically college graduates of other countries. So in this instance, these 2 gentlemen are from Mexico. They do have college degrees in an agriculture related business sense. So they don't have golf course experience, but it could be forestry, could be anything from an ag perspective. What that allows them to do is they go make this application, they see our job ad, apply for it, then they go to the consulate, pass an interview at the consulate, and then they should be able to have their visas renewed for up to 4 years. So what we're looking at is hopefully returning individuals next year. Carlos has been a rock star so far. He loves it. The scenery is beautiful. So hopefully we see him back. The difference between the TN program and the H2b program is the H2b program is I guess how I would phrase it, it's a group of individuals, and we apply for a lottery. We apply for a position. And there are certain levels or grades of those positions. So there's A, which is like the highest priority, then B, C, D. If you're in C, there's or below, there's likely no chance you can get workers from that program. So that's been the challenge. In the years past, the club has utilized the H2b program very successfully over the years, but as times have shifted, there are more companies now that are trying to utilize that program as well, which puts our ability to score higher in the lottery a little lower. And it has nothing to do with timing. There are certain deadlines and dates that we have to hit, but we could still end up with a D rating and not be able to bring anybody up.
So Jason, once our season is over.
Yep.
Like October, sort of.
Yep.
Do they go back to Mexico?
Yeah, so they'll go back to Mexico and they can come back as soon as we want to bring them back up next year.
Okay, and also you said a warm welcome for them. How do you welcome somebody out on?
Very, very good question. I think just the smiles and the waves is good. There was a suggestion made that maybe we could post a staff photo online or on the website so that people could recognize names and faces. So I will move forward with that.
Great.
That makes sense. Yes, Tom, question?
In the last year or two, realizing that the H2B visas were not a viable long-term option for the club, Justin was looking at green cards for some key members. Is that still an effort being made, or are we just going to focus on the TN visas?
For right now, I wanted to explore the TN and see how that route went. I think we still do look at visas for some of the H2B guys in the past. I think that's a fair play given what they've provided to the club, because everyone I've talked to has positive reviews and is always asking how the guys are, if they're coming back, when they're coming back.
We have a question.
There's a question online. Please comment on firmness of greens this year and plan going forward for firmness and speed.
Okay, so I would say I've heard a lot of positive comments on the firmness of the greens. It comes from two different things. Number one, the volume of sand we applied in the spring during our cultural practice, and that's predicated on soil testing and the accumulation and the percentage of organic matter in the top portion of the green. So as turf grows, it needs to be diluted by the sand. So the sand top dressing goes down on top of the turf, soil microbes work up and they break down thatch and they break up down some of that sponginess that exists on that upper surface, right? So reading our soil reports, and I'm pro non-core aerifying because I think it's a more disruptive surface, especially in the spring when the soil temperatures are lower and the recovery rate is less. So I think our program with solid tine aerification is perfect in the spring, but what we have to be careful and cautious of is making sure that we stay within a proper range of organic matter. That number was up just a little bit this year, hence the higher volume of top dressing in the sand. Let the grass grow through it, provide that profile for the microbes to get into and start working. So that, number one, that's going to be why your greens seem a little bit firmer this year. Number two, it's also been a bit difficult to get, they're for sure drier given the windy conditions. So twofold. A firmer green is better, in my opinion, in terms of ball mark impact. So with a firmer green, we have less of an opportunity, A, for ball marks, and B, the ball mark that does exist doesn't have as significant of an impact. So the greens are going to be smoother and appear faster by their firmness. The goal would be, as long as the feedback is positive, which I'm hearing, is to try to maintain that through the season. Does that answer the question?
Yeah, so given the firmness, whatever, what are we running speed wise on the green?
Speed wise, we're still in that 10.3, 10.4 range.
So speed hasn't changed.
The speed, it does, I don't believe the speed has changed. It could appear that it has changed on a daily basis, but that's relative to the wind, right?
So Jason, you had your obviously the walkthrough with the club earlier in that. Could you touch on the one or two biggest takeaways from that?
For sure, for sure. Very well, I thought very well attended, compared similar to last year. Would you agree, Dylan? Very, very similar. Thank you for those that came out. A couple of takeaways from my perspective, a lot of positive feedback, excitement on number 18. People did comment about some tree management, which we need to look at, some dead limbs in trees and the value of those. Again, we budgeted to have some tree work done internally with a man lift, but given those 30, 40 mile an hour winds, it was pretty unsafe to put anybody up in that, anything over 4 or 5 feet. So we'll work on that as the season goes through.
Thank you.
From a maintenance perspective, I'd say we're back into maintenance mode in terms of the frequency of cut of everything, the presentation, the changing of the cups. Flowers have been ordered. They'll be arriving late this month to be installed, either late this month or early June. Heidi is going to be back, which I'm excited about, so she can help with that. What else do I have? That's really everything that I think I hit on. Other than just the comments that everyone's feeling this, fuel prices are still very high, but an 89 to 90% increase over what we were looking at last year. So anywhere from $2 for diesel, off-road diesel, $2 and change up to $5. So that impacts things. Fertilizer prices, same thing. They're up 75% from last year. So yeah, so it does. This economy does impact golf maintenance per se. Plus baby, yeah, we have. Yeah.
So is the flower budget the same as last year? We expect to
Yeah.
see about the same?
Yes, yes, yep. Anything else? Any more questions? Perfect, thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Lana.
Hi, everyone. So we're just gonna touch on the membership count breakdown for now. Currently, we're at 295.5, which is a drop from last month, but I will explain that in 2 more slides. But currently, we have 186 full golf members. And going down the line, we're at 67 professional. All right, as far as April goes, we acquired 1 junior membership, 5 full golf memberships, and 11 social memberships. So it's an extremely good month for us. Currently, our full member equivalent is 275.35. That jumped up quite a bit because our professional members are paying 50% dues now instead of the 40%. Currently, we have 249 leads year to date. And then just tracking our initiation fees, we're at still 12,000 for full golf. We've acquired 5 memberships at this rate. Our junior is 6,000 and our social is 500. All right, so this will break down the membership type data a little bit further. We have 19.5 available memberships as of April 31st, not counting any May acquisitions. So non-equity is 2, and then our corporate is 4. So any questions on that data? Okay. Resignation data. So in April, we did have 9 resignations. 6 of those were full equity, and just a story behind that. The majority, as you can see, were due to moving. There's a lot of action in the area, in Larkspur in general, of people moving out of the area and moving in. The second reason for resignation is going to be lifestyle change. So again, that doesn't reflect any of that on us. That's just the climate right now.
When you say lifestyles, that typically someone that was just unable to find the time later to justify the membership, or what would you say?
Correct, or family reasons, change in schedules, things like that. Alrighty, moving on. So as of as of March, our resignation percentage was 3%, it's now 5%. That's majority due to the 6 full golf resignations. I do have some good news as far as May. There are no golf resignations, and so far for June, we have none either. So that's great news for those 2 months.
Can you touch on the full zeros and how their loyalty agreement worked and why we had these resignations?
Yeah, so we had a opportunity for full golf members to join in September for 0 dues until a certain time period, and then they started paying their full dues, but they did sign a 1-year loyalty agreement. So they had to pay at least 1 year of full dues. And the majority of those 6 full members that resigned were the full zeros that signed up, but they had to pay that full year of member dues until they could officially resign. All right, moving on to marketing. We are advertising heavily on Instagram and Facebook. So we were able to use some photographs that we took last year, which really showcase our club and our course. We did have an email blast go out, and we have another one scheduled in early June. Currently, we have over 3,500 email contacts. And for our members, I was asked to kind of track our communications internally. So we were able to, on an average Fairway Views email, we send to 809 member email addresses. The open rate is at 497. So that's telling us that's a pretty good percentage for opens for our members. As far as a weekly reminder average, again, we're sending to 809 email addresses, and the average is 503 members are opening those emails. So that's a pretty good rate as far as that goes. We're going to move on to our member survey results that Andrew is going to go ahead and go over for us.
Hello, everybody.
While you're getting up there, I'm always amazed because people will say to me, well, I didn't know about this, or I didn't know about that. And it's like, it's in the Fairway Views, or it's in the weekly update. Oh, I don't open that.
Well, I think there's a difference between opening and actually reading it thoroughly, probably. So, yeah. I want to talk about the Delighted survey we sent out. It looks, we sent that out May 2nd because that was a nice clean Monday. Send it out. Just raise your hand in this room and maybe just so we can get a kind of a feel if you got the survey. Did you get the survey, Dan? Don?
I don't remember seeing it.
Diane?
I did it.
Lori did. Okay, good.
I did it.
Okay. Well, we had, we sent it out to just over 800 members, and as a kind of way for us to calibrate some kind of member experience key performance indicators. And the idea is that over time, we can get a gauge of where are areas that we can improve on. So we don't really have kind of a baseline right now in every department because we've only sent one survey out. But the idea is that over time, we can find ways to improve and use our member feedback through this mechanism as an extra resource for our management team, board of directors, and department heads. So we actually had 100 responses out of the 800. That was, I think, pretty good. And there's also ways we have talked with the system, which is called Delighted, how we can improve upon that by changing some of the settings on which the email forms. So I'll just share some baseline kind of overall scores each area of the club got. Overall score out of a 5 being best, the score was a 4.4. Our food received a 4.1. Our social events received a 4.1. Our food and beverage services, service specifically received a 4.2. Our communications received a 4.5. Golf course a 4.7 and golf shop a 4.8. So we're gonna be going through that data with our department heads and seeing where there are specific areas of improvement and look for those about on a quarterly basis, so that we can continue to get better, improve the Perry Park experience. So
Great job.
yeah, thanks for those who participated.
Yeah, you may have a lower response rate because people like myself are snowbirds and been here for a period of months, and so we would not want to offer an opinion on current level of service. So I
Yeah.
suspect you're gonna have a more robust response.
Yeah, so
next
we
quarter.
talked about in the MAC committee of the marketing communications committee, setting it quarterly for now and maybe adjusting that later. Based on, you know, maybe an opening season and ending of the season, things like that, but at least so that we can establish a baseline of, hey, where do we want to be? Does this seem appropriate? Anyways, thank you.
Thank you. All right, clubhouse, chef.
Hello, Chef here. How's everybody doing?
Good.
So first thing I'm gonna touch on is the deck heaters, working well. Still waiting for Black Hills Energy to get our new meter put in. But everything's working perfectly. No problems in the kitchen with gas feed. We are now working on getting Max's opened. We're slowly doing it because we have a new team member over there. So every week we've been putting new items towards for him to work on. Like last weekend, we had burgers, brats, and hot dogs. This weekend, if weather doesn't mess anything up, we're gonna work on our Philly cheesesteak and a couple other things over there. Everything's organized, fully staffed. We're training our staff and hopefully fully open and operational Memorial Day weekend.
Let me comment on that.
Go ahead.
So Jack and I were playing on Sunday and we were finishing pretty late, like 6 something, I think. And the door was open. And so I said, hello. And Mo came to the door. And I said, I can't believe you're open this late. He said, well, on Sundays I do a lot of cleaning. So I'm just here. So I'm just going to be open if I'm here cleaning anyway. He said, I love it out here. I could live out here.
Yeah. Yeah.
So he seems really happy in that facility.
So this year I've gotten a lot of hands-on training with the staff over there. So he's getting all the experience from me on cooking. So proper temping, dating, all the good stuff, proper storage. We updated the inside a little bit. We painted the inside so it doesn't look so down. It looks a lot better. So if you guys just kind of take a look and maybe spruce up Mo's feeling of it and say it looks beautiful, you'll love that. And then we're getting a new beer cooler. We're waiting for that, which will hold 65 6-packs of beer. So right now, the beer cooler we're working on, if somebody asks for a 6-pack, we have to go back to the cooler and get it, stuff like that. So it'll take steps away from where we're at now. We're just waiting for it to be delivered. Hopefully last week of May here, we'll get it installed. Kevin, do you want to touch on the member events a little bit?
Sure.
So this coming weekend, we have a tequila tasting on Friday, and that will be from 6 to 9. We have Dulce Vida coming in. They're going to bring in their whole portfolio of different types of tequilas to taste. There's no cost associated with that. Looks like we'll be inside for that event, along with live music in the restaurant. So that'll be a fun night. Please make a reservation. We'd love to have you come out for that. Memorial Day weekend, we also have a cornhole tournament. We have bird encounters for kids, which are live falcons and various types of birds. So they'll be outside on the event deck space. We'll do a beer tasting and we'll have live music. We just changed the hours for that event. So we switched them from, switched the hours from 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. We're actually gonna be starting at 5 p.m. So I wanna let everybody know that we did that just to accommodate more people coming off the course. So we wanna capture as many people as possible for that. And Chef will be offering a really cool menu for that as well. So we'll have bison burgers, elk brats, and a chicken sandwich. So that'll be a nice offering. We're just trying to have something for everyone. So that'll be a really fun event. So please come down and check it out.
Hey, I just wanted to comment for really to both of you guys as far as for the men's opening day tournament, as far as like, wow, did you guys do a great job keeping that line moving right out here?
Do you like
It was
that?
cool having it on, it was cool having the grill out there, and then for how efficient you guys did it, because I think it really, that as well as a great day really contributed to a good experience for people. So thank you very much for that.
I appreciate that.
We hope that we can do it again this Saturday, but we'll see.
I have something else to add too. I just found out today. So some of you might know Bart Cole, Bart and Sandy. So Bart plays the bass fiddle. And he just put out on Next Door Neighbor, is there anybody around that wants to jam? And I watched it and several people said, yes, they were interested. Sandy told me today, this coming Sunday, that Bart and his crew are going to be playing out on the deck Sunday afternoon, right?
That's great.
Yeah. That's how they
In this room, actually. Well,
Oh,
if you
in
want to
this
be on
room.
the deck, that's,
Okay, wherever, well, the weather,
Yeah.
depending on the weather. But it's, here's a member that's excited about contributing to the club and he's got this thing going.
yeah,
and-
that's great.
and,
I mean, I really empower that. I think we need more of that. you
Exactly,
know?
there's so many
Absolutely.
members with talents.
Yeah, definitely. That's great. It's a great thing. Next slide, please.
Actually, reverse.
Backwards. Sorry. Also in June, we have a sip and swing event. We'll be doing tequila, teas, and tacos. So that's open to all membership levels. So social members can attend if they like. We'll be doing it at Max's Range. Keith, myself, and Justin will be involved in that. Just a different theme and different concept to the sip and swing event.
All right, touching on staffing, we actually finally hired another cook. It took forever. So now we're fully staffed and one of my cooks has actually decided to stay for the summer.
Oh.
So we are fully staffed and I feel so much better. We're just looking to have a great summer here and serve some great food. College staff starts very soon. We've actually got a few back already today and last week, but mainly late May. So we'd be fully staffed, no worries in the clubhouse. So.
Chef said, no worries in.
So, any questions?
No, nothing online.
All right. That's all I got.
Great, thank
That's all
you.
you got.
Good job, guys.
All right.
All right, before we take any comments, I suspect maybe none, let me do an overdue thing here. So remember back at the annual meeting, we awarded Don with a Distinguished Member Award. The thing that I've never managed to figure out was a trophy or a picture, because he already had a ton of those. So I worked with Keith to grab a couple of things from down the pro shop, which I think would be appropriate, particularly to leave it. So this is an umbrella. Don's going to Arizona. What do you need an umbrella? This umbrella is super cool. I don't know if you've seen those. This is a memento. So it has the Perry Post logo on the outside. But when you open it up, this is super.
Is there beer or wine or something?
Yeah, I guess. How's that?
Whoa.
That's pretty cool.
Oh my gosh.
But, so Don, here's your umbrella, but recognizing that an umbrella might not be the premium thing.
Oh, and the winds we've been having down there, that could be a do a Mary Poppins
Right.
invitation flying.
We also got your wide brim Perry Park hat, because we know you like to protect yourself, so.
Outstanding.
Don, congratulations on that distinguished member award. With.
It wasn't such a hardship. I missed the meeting because I was touring Spain and Portugal. So at the time, it was not convenient for me to even call in, but thank you very much. It's, you know, I hate leaving. This has been a very big part of my life, and I really consider this to be my true spiritual home. And you know, you all are great, and this course is great, and you know, just today I was looking out my window at the deer sitting in my yard, you know, saying, yeah, I dare you to come out here and chase me away. So this is great.
Thanks for all your help, Don, with the committees and all you've done, believe me.
So it's been a pleasure. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
And I have comments here from both Phil and Brian Darby, who say thank you very much for all you've done. So thank you, Don. All right, and I have no more member comments. Anybody have anything else? All right, great. So next meeting will be on the 21st of June in the room here. I need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you very much. All in favor?
Aye.
Thanks, everybody.